Okay, a couple of things that I wanted to do. Thing number one is I wanted to have a little color in this one, and so I'm going to have some isolated color in the eye. I know that sounds kind of fun. So this is some blue, and so the iris in and of itself, I was going to have that blue for mine. I saw some that had some yellows in them as well on that, and so that's kind of a deal. I'm going to leave a little area for reflected light in there, and so this is going to be my blue. Like I said, I thought it might be kind of a nice blue iris, a little change of pace for us. The pupil will be either the dark gray or the black, right? But the colored part, this will make it look just a little bit more intense. So we just have that. And like I said, a little bit of an area maybe for the reflected light in there. Kind of like that. Okay, so I want to get that one in first before I jumped into the dark gray. Now the dark gray is kind of an interesting animal as we start to get that going. It needs to be darker than this, but it can't go black on those. And so what I've done is I have a scrap paper that I kind of helped use, and so I mixed this up ahead of time, so it needs to be darker than this, but it needs to be lighter than the black. And so I just had this guy over here, and so I just in the top of the tray just mix some stuff up, use a little bit more water, and then I just kind of test it. And if I on this little extra scrap paper, and you can just cut a little piece here, and so just by comparison, it looks pretty good on that one. So the dark gray is kind of the deal that we're looking for. Let's start at the top again. I found that was really helpful because then I could have things kind of flow down on that. And plus, over here in the corner is a larger dark gray area, so it's a good test area for me that I can do. And so this part here should be a dark gray. Okay, and so also as we start to put in the those values for the dark gray, if it's too dark, we can always come back and add some water in. If it's too light, then we can just drop some pigment in there as well. And I'm using the tip of the brush trying to make make this just a little bit more jiggity jaggedy, I guess, as it were there, a little bit irregular on its shapes. Okay, and I think we can come and get a little more pigment in here as well. That needed to go just a little darker, and that's one of the advantages that we have. And now this piece is coming down here. It's actually going to bridge out over there even more, but I'm just going to put it into here. There we go. That's a little darker. There we go. So I needed just a little bit more pigment there, and now as I spread that out over this whole area, hopefully that'll be that dark gray value. But not quite black, right? We don't want it black, we just want it dark gray. All right, let's jump over to this area here on the ear. And it looks pretty dark to start out with, but we know as we dilute it out a little bit, like this, that will turn into a dark gray instead of a black. And then we look at this over here, it is also starting to look more like the dark gray. Awesome. Now I got to kind of look at and see where this is going. This is a dark gray on beside the ear on the other side. Now that's a little thick, and so, but I do know that this is going to come down here. Be careful, you want to make sure you get rid of all the little white halos that sometimes appear between different areas. Pull some more of this pigment down here. Let's get some more juice. And it's just working into the darker grays on that one. Now this area was a place I abandoned just a little bit to put this in here. This area here is going to be more a black. So I could either paint over it or just utilize what I have here. There's a little white dot right there. And so when I break these up into different areas, you'll notice there's maybe a different, slightly different here. That's okay. And so we can kind of choose as we add those sections and kind of change them as they come around. And that will help blend things together, generally speaking. And it's not necessary that it be one large flat wash over the whole thing. Like this was a dark gray, now I'm going to join up with this portion of dark gray as well, so that we can have those come down together. And then this little dark gray was coming out over here, right? So it doesn't have to be uniform on that areas, but you want to make sure you're choosing your areas where you have some lines, because there are going to be some lines between your different areas as you work through those. This area here is one big dark gray area. And we just need to spread it out. Spread the love. And we'll work our way down. So that it maintains a smoother transition. Like that. Now in these ones here, if you use the tip of the brush, you can kind of point the jagged edges in towards the face and the eyes on that. And we just continue to build this on across and building it down. Had to examine what these pencil lines were here for. I think I'm going to get a slightly bigger brush now, just because I'm covering a larger area, and that will make it go a little quicker. I'm going to build up a little bit of a puddle right here on the edge because I need to go bring this down now. Almost done with this. Was a real big section. Of our dark gray. Now I've left some areas that will eventually be the black. And so that's got our dark gray in that areas that we're looking for. There's also a little bit over here, I think. Let's go ahead and put this little bit in here that was the dark gray. This was actually a tree. And let's pop that in there. Like that. And then I think that ought to do us. Let's put a little more pigment in here, eh? And then these areas are going to be black. Okay, let's go back up over here and start to take that across. Maybe what we do is this. Is start here, since that's a little bit further up. Be that a good puddle right there. Overlapping is always a good thing on trying to make this work out right. So far, so good. just fill in this big triangle right here. And these should are the same, but since we've had did the puddles at a different time, there is kind of a little bit of a seam there, and that's okay. Let's take this over here. I left that puddle so it wouldn't dry out. And you don't have to be exactingly scientific about your applications here. Like I said, I've had a little bit of overlapping to create so that there's no little white dots. All right, let's get a little more juice. A little more juice. That's pretty dark, huh? Let's take that on across. Within this area is also a dark gray. The nice thing about from this stage on out, if there are blacks, you can always go right over top of the dark gray and adding in your blacks. Let's see, I needed a little bit of, that got just a little darker than what I wanted. So I just need a paper towel. If it is indeed too dark, you can come back with just some water. Like this appears to be a little darker than what I wanted. And just take and take out a little bit of that pigment. And then maybe replace it with just a little bit of water so it's even. Like I said, this one looked just a little darker than what I wanted. Maybe more like that. Oh, there's some little blobs of dark gray down over here. I think I'm going to add another one right here. Now in here on the nozzles and stuff, there's a little bit like right here. And then underneath the nose, underneath the mouth, now eventually the mouth itself will be black. Right there. Then the top of the nozzle, right up there, we have some more gray, dark gray. There's going to be some black on the nozzle too. Now even your big brush can have a little bit of dealing with your point work. Okay, let's see. Let's put some dark gray right here. A little bit of dark gray there. I'm just looking around in here and seeing what I'm seeing. Looks like this one actually came down just a little bit more, huh? And then maybe this guy came down a little bit more here. Looks like a little bit in here. Maybe a dabber right there, huh? I used the dark gray in here. That's what it showed on my picture. That's pretty dark right there on those. We can always go black as well. I'm going to pull just a little bit of pigment out of that. Now with the dark gray, it does start to look a little bit more like the wolf. We don't have the black in yet, but that does add enough variety of value to make that start to come out a little bit more. And so I think that looks like a bulk of the dark gray that we're ready to go. Cool.